on my mind a lot. Don't need no time watch. I don't know how I got you in my pocket spot. Yeah, that's babe, need you every day. You like my oxygen. Make it seem like the barging down. Got my heart no barging in. From the bed to the floor to the couch. Might wake the neighbors up. Break you in, then break you out. In the end, we're gonna make it.
Welcome back to another edition of All Time High. I'm with Dionna, and we are going to talk about predictive programming and what it all means related to CBDCs and some recent testimony that's occurred in front of Congress. Now, you were telling me about this just the other day. Can you kind of bring the listeners up to speed?
Yeah, of course. So the U.S. Congress had a Senate hearing where they heard from Jordan Peterson, who is a well-renowned psychologist from Alberta. He has dual bachelor's degrees in both political science and psychology, and he got in front of Congress and was kind of warning them about what could happen with these technologies and the weaponization of government. So it was a pretty spectacular talk, and it makes you think about a lot of things that I think the average person doesn't think about.
So we're going to share the before here. Well, this is actually the after. So we're going to do an after then the before, but I think it's kind of like the chicken and the egg. You don't necessarily know which one happened first. When you watch this video, understand that the video you're about to see here and the one that I'm about to show are separated by some 8-9 years. So let's take a listen, and then I definitely want to get your feedback on what it is that Dr. Peterson said in front of the U.S. House Judiciary.
The net of heaven is vast, yet it misses nothing, which aptly describes the capabilities of the new state apparatus. The system is integrated with the so-called Chinese social credit system, which awards its involuntary participants with a score indicating their compliance with the dictates of the Chinese Communist Party, allowing for full control over access to everything they possess electronically. Most ominously, their savings and their access to travel. Certainly all modern means of travel, but increasingly as the electronic gates come up, even by walking. If you're Chinese or a visitor, your access to the world can be reduced to zero if your social credit score falls beyond an arbitrary minimum. This allows you purposefully to be shut out of all activities that can be virtualized. And in a rapidly virtualizing world, this increasingly means all activities: driving, shopping, working, eating, finding shelter, even fraternizing with friends and family, as merely being in the presence of someone with a low social credit score means that your own score can be lowered. This has also opened up the opportunity for the government to extract slave-like labor from its citizens, so burdened, as the donation of free work to the state still constitute one means by which erring Chinese men and women can increase their score and remain part of human society. This is precisely the payment system most desired by the most tyrannical, not the work for me and benefit thereby that constitutes the contractual arrangement undertaken by free and sovereign citizens. But
Holy cow.
Yeah, right?
Holy cow.
Does it kind of make you feel bad now about all the things that we buy from China?
Well, again, this is going to be one of those episodes, you and me and the fence post, because there's a lot of stuff that gets filtered. I'm in fact surprised that testimony is kind of making its way around.
Yeah. And
he's saying some, if not factual, controversial things.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
He's from Canada. I'm sure during his testimony, he probably talked about the truck driver dynamic.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, that was a full-on Canada. What a scary time that such compliance, right, is. Well, I guess it's kind of throughout history. Government and people have always been able to get people to comply with the things that they want using different mechanisms to do it. And we look back on it and we're like, how did people do that? But now that we're in it and we're going to experience it for ourselves, I think we're going to see firsthand how it can be done. And the truckers was a great opportunity. The truckers was a great example to where they went on strike and then they got support and then the government shut off that support. And it's like, wait, I thought we were a free nation. I thought we were.
Wait, didn't they get unbanked? Basically, they had no access to their money?
Yeah, they had no access to their money. So then they raised it all in Bitcoin and then they tried to seize the Bitcoin. Right. And so this is where you go back to it's always the wallet. It's always that party, that intermediary between you and your Bitcoin. That's going to be your most vulnerable place where the government can grab it, where they can shut off your access to funds, where somebody can steal your private keys. And that's why it's so important especially if you want to hold on to your crypto, to put it in that cold storage and keep it away from the internet so that you're free of that type of control.
You know, and I think one of the quotes that Dr. Peterson had was that George Orwell could scarcely imagine this, right? Like even in the most dystopian 1984 point of view where Big Brother was watching, you know, Big Brother kind of functionally and dysfunctionally is interacting. He just doesn't have eyes on you. He's got consequences for you.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know, there was an American guy in China who was there on a work visa, and he was doing work, and he had a low social credit score, and he couldn't get flights back.
Okay.
Yeah, crazy, right? I mean, this is what happens though. You go onto their territory, and you got to play by their rules, their games, and it just doesn't matter. And the U.S. honestly, I don't think is too far from that, which is scary and sad to see.
Yeah, and I will tell you, part of it, from this predictive programming point of view that I happen to have, there is this episode that if you haven't watched, or if anybody out there hasn't watched, comes from Netflix and a show called Black Mirror. Now, season 1 and season 2 was only shown overseas, but in season 3, Netflix picked it up. And the very first episode under the Netflix umbrella happened to talk directly about this social credit score. And I'm going to show you a scene from the movie. I'm going to do my very best to set it up for you without creating a spoiler alert. But the young lady in the movie, I'm going to show, it's going to be a little bit extended. And in the movie, she gets to a point where she's going to try to lease an apartment. And the apartment, speaking of social credit score, the rate that she's going to pay is determined by her score. On a scale of 1 to 5, how many stars does she have? So just like we rate Uber drivers today and they rate us, she was quite literally getting rated by everybody she encountered. If she went to a coffee shop, it was the person who checked her out. She saw one of her friends, asked how their child was doing, and she got a quick 5-star. She walked by different people who may or may not have known her, but you could see that the geography that's available to our phones allowed everybody else to know that she was there. And so in a wicked way, the people start impacting the people in this mindset, not just the government. And so I want you to watch the scene I'm about to show you. She's at the airport and she's going to speak at one of her childhood friends' weddings. In that, she expects to give the best speech of her life. She expects her social credit score to improve because all these people are going to rate her favorably because she tells this wonderful, beautiful story. But first, she's got to get there. And this is where we turn it over to the magic of Netflix. Here we go. I hope I don't break any copyright laws on this deal, but we'll find out. There she is. And you can see if you glance at the screen, I think it shows you her intended flight, and her score there is a 4.1.
Yep.
Okay?
Yep.
Here we go.
I got it.
Yeah. I want to get your take on it.
I am so sorry. That flight is canceled.
No.
Customer incident at the other end.
What? So when is the next flight?
Yeah, they're all kind of full.
I booked this weeks ago. It's my best friend's wedding.
I'm sorry.
I have to get there. I have to.
Okay, let's see what we can do.
Oh, thank you.
So the social credit score is even going to come into play here.
Yep, this is how
I see there's one standby seat on another plane leaving tonight. That's reserved for members of our Prime Flight program. You got to be a 4.2 or over to qualify.
Oh, I'm a 4.2.
I'm afraid you're actually a 4.183.
Oh, no, not going.
Oh. Well, that's not my fault. Some woman dinged me down in the cab. Can't you just...
I'm sorry, it won't let me book it without the correct ranking.
But it's so close.
There's just nothing I can do.
Christ, I mean, surely.
I'm going to have to ask you to moderate your language there.
Sorry, it's just... I'm maid of honor. I cannot miss this wedding.
And I am so sorry about that.
She's mimicking.
Can you call the supervisor?
I cannot do that.
Can you just call the supervisor?
I cannot do that.
Call the fucking supervisor.
Okay, that's profanity. We're zero tolerance on profanity.
I'm sorry, it's just...
Yeah, I have to serve the next customer.
No.
Step away, ma'am.
God, just fucking help me!
Oh, she just got raided by everybody else.
I've called security.
Oh, no, please don't do that.
I'm gonna let it ride.
I'm a 5-starring you. 5 stars.
What's the issue here, Hannah?
Intimidation and profanity.
Oh, no. I was not intimidating.
speak, ma'am.
I was just trying to...
Okay, so in order to restore calm, I'm invoking my authority as airport security to dock you 1 full ranking point as a punitive measure. This is a temporary measure.
No.
The score reverts to normal in 24 hours.
No, but I
During
need
this
it now.
Period, all down votes are subject to a ×2 multiplier.
×2?
We recommend you avoid negative feedback at this time.
I'm on double damage.
Please, remove yourself from the airport immediately.
I'm not gonna lie, I literally just got goosebumps from this because I feel like this is what we're headed towards. Actually, first I went to how many times in the airport I've seen something like that without this even being in place. And
Right.
I was thinking, man, they're actually gonna force us to walk around just like happy-go-lucky no matter what they're doing to us. And that's such a scary thought.
Yeah, and if you don't kind of comply or recognize your role in that ecosystem, you're gonna potentially pay a price. And the crazy thing, like the societal mores and norms are in place. The technology, not unlike cryptocurrency or blockchain, the technology is available. So really, it's only for cryptocurrency, blockchain, AI, and something like this, it's implementation. That is the only thing standing in the way. And you're seeing it start to be implemented in other countries. The episode's a doozy. I'll tell you, spoiler alert, she does get to the wedding. And it even gets more interesting from there. If you haven't seen it, it's a great show. It's not only entertaining, but it is very like, oh my gosh, how far away are we? Not that far.
Yeah, not that. I mean, especially considering the last few years when everything was shut down and you had to show documentation in order to get anything. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I felt like I was kind of pressured into getting the shot because I was like, no, I don't need it. I'm against it. I'm healthy. I don't really know any sick people. So I didn't feel like I was endangering anybody. I was isolated. But I got a letter from my insurance saying that if for some reason I were to contract anything, that they wouldn't pay for it. And that's intimidation. And so when you start losing your free will because of these tactics, how free of a society are we really?
Right. And again, it's just a movie, but as you looked at that ability for her to get on or not get on a flight, I mean, it's not that far removed that there would be a way to structure financial dynamics on a CBDC that said to you, hey, Dionna, if you get your shot that we want you to get, you're going to get, I don't know, this bonus or that bonus. Or, hey, we're in this kind of situation where we need you to spend money. So we're going to give you an extra $1,000 or $1,200. Now, when that happened during the pandemic, we could keep it or we could put it on the stock market or crypto or whatever we wanted to do. That was up to us how we spent the money. And historically, I think that's the way it's been. But what if that money were only available to you for, let's say, 30 days or for 24 hours? Or, well, it's a 4th of July celebration weekend and we want to make sure that we celebrate independence. And the best way we can celebrate that independence is for you to spend money. And when you spend it, we'll give you this accelerant, this catalyst, this 2.5, this 25%.
I didn't even think about that.
And again, I reiterate, it's not, the technology is not standing in the way. The technology has the capability.
Yep. Yeah, 100%. And you know, I think that was the essence of Dr. Peterson's, I don't know if he's a doctor, but his testimony
I think he is, yeah.
Congress that, hey, like this is already starting. Okay, so let's just think about right now and all the things. So if you talk about U.S. politics, right? We have a lot of Democrats in office, and I think they hold the House and they hold the presidency.
Right.
And so with those two majorities, what if it was House, Senate, and presidency? Now,
we're not that far away from that possibility.
Right. Right. Exactly. And so now when it comes time to vote, right? Could you, if you're watching, the Republican stuff, could you get dinged? Would your social credit score get dinged? If you went to a rally, would you get dinged? And who is the person who determines what that threshold is? And then who are the companies like that are required to enforce it. So I think all of those dynamics together, especially the way we see the weaponization of social media already by our government and politics, I think that it's a very scary and slippery slope that, we're not trying to freak people out about the technology. It's more or less like, hey, let's actually be knowledgeable about where this could potentially go so that maybe we can get in front of it and protect ourselves as much as we can.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think awareness is probably the first item on the agenda. And as you look, I've often said the private-public partnership is the thing to be most aware of, to be most leery of.
Yeah.
Although these days I can't say that because of the infighting that's going on between the two parties, there seems to me to be a tendency to say the other side is doing this illegally or the other side is cheating, so I will do this illegally and I will cheat. And that is a really, you talk about a slippery slope. I mean, you're now basically saying the rules don't apply to them, therefore if they don't apply to them, they don't apply to me. And that is not a healthy way to approach it. And if somebody, whoever that person or those people or that company that has that public-private capability to give a score like that, and mind you, you don't have to go that far to look for this. Go to your Uber app.
Yeah.
You've got a score. You've been scored, though, by drivers, and you're scoring drivers. So there's that reciprocity. And I think it does, in general, help people to be on better behavior. But it's not a great extension to think that it could impact your ability to get a loan or be on a plane.
That's credit score. We've already got that. Like, we already have a credit score okay, I don't know if anybody has ever really looked and researched how the credit system works. And I this isn't a sponsor, but I want to tell you a book I read that was absolutely amazing, and it was Repair Your Credit Like the Pros. It's like $10 on Amazon, and she literally goes through and explains all of the nuances about how the laws are written for consumers and what you actually have to do in order to fix your credit. So for one, it is in the credit agency's best interest to keep your credit score low, because the person with low credit score, they're pulled more often and paid for by other companies so that you can solicit. So you think that poor person who they're having trouble, they need to get out, they need a quick loan, they get a loan at like 20%, right? And you get these things in the mail all the time. It's absolutely ridiculous. Whereas a person with good credit score, they're getting 0%. So why is it in anybody's best interest for people to have a good credit score? Then if you wanted to actually argue something that's on your credit, which by law, they are supposed to be reporting accurately. But if you go online and you try to dispute it online, you actually waive your rights. And most people don't know that. And they don't have to, they can come back with any BS answer they want to, and there's nothing you can do about it because the law says you actually have to do it in writing. So I'm saying, go check this book out. But already our credit scores is a slippery slope to where you can see it's weaponized against us so that big banks and big companies can make money.
For sure. Yeah. There's no doubt that 0% APR or 17% and all the complexities, the 0% APR is part of a portfolio that is that A paper that serves as liquidity for the banks and kind of insurance against the people that may not be able to pay the loan. Mm-hmm. And will have those difficulties not only at that moment in time, but potentially throughout their lives. And that is one of the things, and I'll try to take this dynamic situation in a positive direction. This changeover of blockchain and cryptocurrency and the implications to the financial system, not only for countries, but really for the world. I'm excited to be here because it's once in my lifetime kind of experience. And I'm fully intending to participate in and be part of the dynamics as it changes, as it shapes and moves to what I believe will be a better place. But if we're not cautious with the change and the catalyst for the change, because oftentimes the catalyst for great change is fear. Yeah. It can drive you to make decisions that you wouldn't otherwise make in terms of your credit, in terms of your loans, in terms of your liquidity, and in terms of, gosh, who knows what we'd be willing to do. I mean, I do see the full-scale conversion over to a CBDC to be influenced by some sort of event where they say, hey, look, Dionna, you can opt in, or you can do you keep doing what you're doing if you like it. But if you opt in, you'll get 25% more of whatever the denomination is, whatever the dollars are, whatever the fiat is for that country. Yep. And all of a sudden, what do? You go, well, wait a second, 25% more. That's a pretty good deal.
More money.
It's more money. I can do more. I mean, it's also inflationary. That's the other consequence. But at that point, you kind of have ceded some of your autonomy.
Yeah.
Potentially.
Yeah, I think that's where you and I are in a unique position, Jim, because we recognized the opportunity, we recognized the potential for danger, and then we said we want to do something about it, right? And I think that's kind of the fun thing about this technology. There's not very many people who get into blockchain that aren't progressive thinking, that aren't trying to be front runners. I mean, you still have the guys who are, maybe not so savvy businessmen who get in and do something crazy. But I think
Sam Bankman-Fried. I understand. I know who you meant.
Yeah, that guy.
By the way, his sentencing is coming up, and they're talking about he only may get 5 to 10 years. And some of the reason why he might get a lesser sentence is because, wait for it, they're actually finding that a lot of the money is coming back. Like the $8 billion that was lost because the crypto market that we've been tracking and tracing is starting to move uptick. They're saying a lot of the money is going to go back to consumers. And so while he was found guilty on all 10 charges, there is the distinct possibility, his lawyers are arguing for it right now, that in the sentencing phase, because more of the money is back to the customers, notwithstanding what it is that he actually did, that everything he did was illegal, we could end up with him having a 5-year, and then with time served already and good behavior, he could be out in 3.5.
But he'd be a felon, right?
What's that?
He's a felon.
Yes, for sure.
So I mean that kind of right there, like it ruins your credibility to a degree.
To a degree, yeah.
You have the Wolf of Wall Street. He's a felon, and he's still out there kind of doing his thing. So I guess some
for
people
sure
rise above.
Yeah.
But I think that dings him a little bit. But how he bought property? I mean, of course they're going to be able to recover some of the funds. He had intangible assets outside of whatever the digital currencies were. I'm glad he got found guilty. I still think he deserves more than that. I mean, he even if, people get money back, you don't get all the pain back, or the feeling from the pain, from the frustration, from the who knows what kind of hardship he caused people during that time. Like, they're not going to get paid back for any of that. And I think for him to have that kind of effect on people, he deserves whatever he gets plus some.
Now, he could get up to 100 years as well. So we'll see.
I would feel bad for 100 years. I'd do like maybe 20, 40, but who knows? I'm not them.
I'm just trying to breathe it all in right now. And right now we are breathing in towards the end of this episode. So Dionna, thanks for your insight today and sharing, both sides of the story, predictive programming of what could be happening to us right in front of our very eyes. We'll catch you next time on All Time High.
You on my mind a lot. Don't need no time watch. I don't know how I got